Alright, this is the completing in large panel wise of the bed. I've finally got the tailgate done. Apart from the hard cover that will come later on, that is the last major panel to get to see the proportions of the Willys, and I'm pretty pleased the way it's turned out. It doesn't look too tail heavy in the dividing of the front to rear ratio between the axle center line. In fact, it's slightly shorter than stock from the axle center line to the back because I've recessed the tailgate in. So the tailgate was actually, you might remember, the very first bedside I did and scrapped because I thought I could do better. I actually made it from that because I'm running out of material and we were in a lockdown, so I didn't have much choice. But I was actually able to hammer and dolly the faults that I made and repair it. And now I've also bead rolled the WO symbol in here, which stands for Willys Overland, and I've put 3 ribs each side, which match the ones on the back of the cab, and there's also 2 sets on the door, both near the top and bottom of the door. So there's still quite a bit to go. It's just held in there at the moment with a series of magnets to stop it falling onto the ground. And there's also a Z piece that, the same as the factory, which I'll show you in a second, it will start come across here on the face and spot welded down here, comes up, goes across this face, and I'm going to also, like a door skin, wrap it around the edge of that. So that will take care of the last part of the structural, and that will also hide any fasteners for the cable stays and possibly the hinges as well, because I'm just still in the throes of designing that. I've decided I'm going to remove this. I think it's a little bit too much bling, and I'm just going to make a cap over the top of this, remove the badge, put a cap over the top of the stainless hitch cover that I made, and that'll make it flush with the rest of the balance panel. Also the lower license plate lights, I'm going to swap those over for some black ones. Another thing I'll be doing, and people are already asking, even though I have shown this a number of times already, this is how this will blend in. Obviously this gets recessed back there a bit further, but you get the idea of how this mandrel tube will flow into the tailgate. So I will cut across the top of here, the ridge, top and bottom, and then a flat steel will come out to meet the radius. And so from a top perspective, see if I can do this with the camera, I don't know, it'll flow in like that, and that should nice. And that's the reason I made this wider as well, is so that it doesn't cut across the top of the stake pocket, because when I've seen it done before, it cuts across the tailgate and the pocket and sort of just doesn't look as good. So that's what I'm up to so far, and I'll show you on the original tailgate that I've still got here. So this is the Z piece I was talking about. So it goes across here, comes up here, and then it's just spot welded across here. I've also put the same lip recess into the back of the tailgate. That is also, my cable stays for when the tailgate comes down will hide in there, and so no horrible external chains rattling around. So that's how that will go. But instead of just spot welding across here, I reckon I'll just wrap it around the same as a door skin. So it tucks underneath there, and then gets clamped all the way down there. So that's how this is done. So this is going to go up for sale. By the time you see this video, I would have put an ad up, and if I remember, I'll put a link in the video description of the eBay auction. These are quite rare. now, and I just didn't want to cut it up just to make the logo. I thought that was just silly, even though it took me hours and hours to replicate this logo. I just took it as a learning experience. You know, we're in the middle of a lockdown, so it gives you something to focus on, so you don't get so sort of caught up in what's happening around you. You just create your own little world, and fortunately my workshop is my sanctuary. So the beads were done with this set of dies. I had these made in America many times ago, long time ago. Modified them a bit now so I can get them exactly the same as the factory spacing. The O of the Willys Overland was done with this here as the bottom, actually it was the top die, because it gets pushed up, and then it was pushed up with this in the middle. So if you can imagine, that was pushing in there, and that gave me the ridge, because they're actually they're not rounded on the logo. As you can see here, it's pointed. So this was pushing up from the bottom, and that's what put the ridge in the top of that. This was much harder, because not only did it have to cross over the O, but it's tapered, so I couldn't use a fixed bottom die. So the whole thing was done by first over a solid bottom roller. So if you can imagine, this is coming along here, and I'm pulling the sheet up like this as this is going along, and I did that a good 20 times, right around the entire perimeter of this. Then I turned the work over, put a soft skateboard wheel on the underside, and then this pushed up from the bottom into the die and made the V, because now I had this taper going on, and then this pushed up from the bottom into the urethane die. But that only got me about 3 millimeters of depth, and so the rest of the depth was actually all done by hand. So I actually used this mat down here. It's a rubber mat. They sell it, it's made from recycled rubber. They sell it for outdoor paving. It's just a rubber mat, and so I literally hammered into the back of that using a wedge-shaped hammer, the back of the hammer, as a chaser, and then hammering on the hammer, if that makes sense. That way you've got more accuracy. So this is, if it doesn't get a good price, I'll just create a nice wall hanger in the meantime, but I'm hoping that it sells well, so who knows. So I brought this into Australia over 10 years ago, and apart from one really beat up one, it's about the only other one I know of in the country. So easy to post around here. Sending it back to the US would be a problem. But anyway, that gets you up to date, and next time we'll hopefully have a hinging tailgate and the chains in place and so on and so forth, and we're a little bit closer. All right, see you later, guys.